Hello, everyone. This is Faith from faithbizacademy.com, and thank you so much for joining us at our 30-day business plan summit. And today, I'm very excited to have this exclusive interview with one of our featured summit speakers. Now, she is a podcast launch strategist, and she's a number one international best-selling author, and is also a very passionate speaker. She's a recording artist, a designer, an award-winning nonprofit founder of Girls and Guys Organized for Anointed Living. She's a content creator, she's a coach, mentor, and also the host of the Radiant Pearl Living as well as the Fearless Creator podcast. Now, this wonderful lady, she helps people to streamline the process to content creation that leads to profitability through her promotional system, the Fearless Creator Method. So please join me in welcoming Stacy Zand. Hi, Stacy. So good
Hi,
to have you
Faith.
here.
It's so good to be here. What a beautiful introduction. And of course, you saw me. I had to go like this when you said content creation. I just love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I just want to say that when I first saw your website, The Fearless Creator, I was really, I think I had goosebumps just scrolling through it because I love the bright colors. So, guys, if you haven't checked it out, please remember to check it out after watching this interview, okay? She's got, and even though I mean I haven't really spoken to her back then when I was just looking at her website, I can actually sense the passion and how vibrant Stacy is. So, Stacy, we have already had an awesome introduction of who you are, but can you please just give us a little bit more personal insights about a background of yourself, a self introduction, as well as how you actually started running an online business?
Yes, certainly. I love hearing the backstory, of knowing how we become who we are fearlessly. And, on my own personal journey, Faith, I've come to realize that every aspect of living, of creating, of really being able to fulfill the specific call in a given season has led me to this moment. I started originally just being excited about sharing my gifts with the world and knowing that at a point where I was just creating beautiful things through art, as a recording artist, through music, and then in the word with Bible journaling and planning, and just recognizing that not only is there beauty all around us, I mean, we can't help but see the beauty if we look for it just in nature and in being, but then being able to capsulate that and capsulate it into almost a fixture that you can share with others. And I believe that's what we creators were able to really highlight what it is that we see and how we can allow and shed light on that to others that we can influence and that we can also inspire with what we create and how we go about sharing that. So for me, I was going through a season where I was having opportunities to just share what I love in writing and, of course, speaking, ministering, singing, all the different art forms. And I kept hearing from individuals, do you have a way that I can stay connected with you? Do you have a blog? Of course, having a website, my very first website I built. And then in this exciting, creativity, so to speak, that just kept growing and kept leading to other things. So you referred a little bit to the nonprofit that I had started while I was in college. And so that was the second project in addition to my own personal website, just as an artist, someone traveling, speaking. And back in those days, even though it wasn't that long ago, I would have my CDs, I would have my books, I would have my physical products with me. And that was a time where we were collecting email on a sign up sheet and being able to go
Those were
back
the
and
days.
add them in, right? And then going back in and typing in, all the people that I made connection to in Canada. I'm from Jamaica and England and all the places that I was going to, and then being able to stay connected with them and share with them the journey so that we could really build that deeper connection that we built in that one moment of meeting in person at that conference or at that event. And so the online world is so interesting, and there's it's always changing. You're always growing and innovating. And so that's what I found really drew me to business online, and the juices that flow when you're creative that is looking to fulfill that calling as a creator. It was just so easy for that progression to happen to all these other brands, all these other things that I'm doing today.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I love how you said that it's actually the people around you whom you have met, and it all started from how people want to continue connecting with you, right? So having this online website or a blog actually becomes a great tool or a platform for you to actually connect with more people. So that is really awesome. And I also love what you say about, like I think most of the people who are watching this interview right now, they're also, multi-passionate like yourself. We're all interested in so many things, and basically, we're creative people. We have so many ideas, and there's so many things that we want to do, right? But that can be a bit overwhelming, especially for beginners who are just starting out an online website or a blog, right? So now that you have achieved, so many different things, you have been doing so many different whether it's you're writing, singing, recording, and even coaching and mentoring. But how did you what do you think would be your biggest challenge when you first started out, when you actually first stepped into the online space? Could you please share with us a bit more about what do you think was your biggest challenge back then?
Yes, certainly. This is so vital, Faith, as you ask us to think about the challenges. And for myself, recognizing that anything worth having is going to require you to really drill deep and consider, what is the cost? What are the risks? What are the initiatives that you can take so that you can fulfill and live to your full potential? And so for myself, it was recognizing that I would have to say no to certain things. I'd have to give up certain things because I'm in it for the long haul. And I recognize that, you mentioned it just moments ago. It can get overwhelming with information being so readily available to us. Just Google it, right? Just go online and there's just so much coming at you. But how do you sift through that? And how do you decide what is relevant and what it is that you need to take advantage of in this season, in this moment where you're called to do a specific thing, and you recognize you need to master and hone in and focus and drill deep in this one area. After you've mastered that, by all means, move on to the next thing. That's the exciting thing about running your own business, creating content fearlessly, and recognizing that you can, after a while, pursue those passion projects, but remain consistent. And that's one of the things that I had to find for myself is for me to remain consistent. I needed to be able to not just want to please people. I wanted to make sure that I was being respective and honoring my purpose in this season, in this moment. And that would require me to say no to certain things and even to certain people. And then maybe coming back around to that when the time is right. And that takes evaluation. And it's been what a wonderful journey. We have that opportunity, right, Faith, that we are able to grow and to personally develop that stamina and all that is required to build a business online. So that's been my biggest challenge that we're always working through.
Thank you. I think what really struck me was the fact that you pointed out that there are times where we'd have to say no to something or somebody, right? Because especially I think when we were new, or at least for myself when I was new, there's so many things that I wanted to do. I want to do Pinterest, I want to do email, I want to do run Facebook ads, and so many things I want to try and get my finger on. But I think there is a limited capacity, and of course there is limited time. So sometimes we really have to just say no to something. But like you said, you can always come back, when the time is right, and really focus on right now. What are you supposed to do right now? And put aside some of the distractions and just focus on your main, like you said, your main calling at the moment in this particular season. So I do want to give you a bit more time about. I was really surprised that you said back in college you were already doing some charitable activities. And can you please tell us a bit more about this Girls and Guys Organized for Anointed Living? Sorry, what do you do and how does it help people?
Yes, I'm so passionate about this, and I'm actually seeing almost a full circle in other elements of my business today that is still allowing that particular vision to continue to push forward, even recognizing that I've had to take a step back and really enlist the help of others to still fulfill that particular mission. And so how that got started, that particular vision, it went back to the heart of why I got into being online and sharing, the passion and all the projects that I've had the opportunity to work on when traveling and speaking at girls' conferences, at ladies' conferences, youth conferences, at just different events that would allow me to connect with the next generation. They were always so inspired and they always wanted to know, how can they at a given point do what I'm doing? How is it at some point that they are able to operate in their gifting with anointing and with excellence, that they felt like they were receiving in whatever modality that I was sharing with them, whether it was singing a song or if I was sharing and speaking, or even reading something to them from the book and from the good book, and just realizing that I would be able to help them through programming. I would be able to help show them while we were there, even in the local community, we would have opportunities to meet together and have different community groups, different churches, different schools, all coming and really collaborating in the effort of reaching communities. That included underserved communities, that included thriving communities, that no one is really any different. We all want to win. We all want to succeed, but we all want to serve. We all want to help people. And if you don't want to, we are going to inspire you to want to, right? And so creating that community, when you see that there's a group of young people that are passionately embracing their calling as a young person. You don't have to wait until you're an adult. And that was not only inspiring for other young people that were watching and seeing the photos. Like, I've always been big on capturing the moments and being able to maximize the visuals. So of course, having our Facebook group, having our seasonal programming every season, that is our tagline: make this your season for anointed living. And so just recognizing that all of these elements goes back to the heart and the core of why we were created, not just to create for ourselves or for beauty in our own household or in our own community, but everyone that is outstretched and that has that opportunity to see and then to be encouraged and inspired to do. And so that's one of the things. Like, we started by Christmas caroling, going to nursing homes and deciding that we were going to bring merriment and cheer to elders and bridge that gap between the younger generation and the older generation. Because at that point, I was still in the younger generation, but I had the support of mentors. I had the support of people like my mother, people in ministry that I was allowing to speak into my life. And it did me such a world of good. It allowed me to see that not only could I live to my full potential, but I could be anything I wanted to be. And that required the support and the coming together of, and the meeting of minds, right? Of all these generations. And so that is what really birthed the nonprofit, and that led to all these other brands. Because you'll see at the core, even for Radiant Pearl Living podcast, we started by just telling multi-generational stories that inspire. And so honestly, that was just the young people. When I saw some of our graduates that I knew from elementary, middle school, college, the Ivy League education, now starting their own businesses, nonprofits, and all through those seasons, I and others were serving on the board and in the nonprofit, we were able to write recommendation letter, see them through the journey of becoming that sort of radiant pearl that is one of my other brands and fearless creator today.
That is so beautiful. And I think it's really powerful, like you said, that there are communities, people that who are working with you, your peers, your mentors, and actually people who then grow up, under your guidance and being inspired by you, like you're the role model that those young men and young women who can look up to and then follow in your footsteps to spread this, this positivity and all these encouragement to the greater community beyond. So I think that also brings us back that as we run online business, I think to me one of the best things is that we can reach out to literally anyone, right? Like you're in the US and I'm in Singapore, and I know there are people in the UK, Australia, other parts of Asia, and I have met so many people, especially when I run some of my coaching programs. I've spoken to this recently. I've spoken to this 19-year-old young lady, and she was telling me how she wanted to start a blog because she wants to help her peers, better manage the school stress, the anxiety, and how to grow, improve the social life without feeling overwhelmed. And then there are also other people who are like in their retirement years, but they're still doing actively creating products, reaching out to people and inspiring people. There's really this, like you mentioned, like multi-generation, right? This community is this online business, I would say, is really open for all. Whatever gifts that you have, whatever passion you're about, whatever things that you're passionate about, you can actually put them into like an online business, an online website, and inspire whoever that is within your reach. So I think you're such a great source of inspiration. And I do want to, and like I mentioned just now, I love your website. I love how vibrant it is. I love how it makes you feel passionate. So, and the name is so beautiful, the Fearless Creator. So when did you first realize that it was your call to help others fearlessly create? Could you share us a bit more about that?
Yes, so I kept having people ask how I'm doing all these different things, and whether they were people who were noticing in real life, IRL, right? That you are doing all these different things, you're going to all these different places. I just I want to find out how it's possible to do some of these things as well. I'm like, it's in you. You were meant to fearlessly do the thing that you've been gifted to do, that you have been anointed for. And sometimes you just need someone to cheer you on and to remind you that it is possible. And so, yes, you sometimes you need to just be that person that is going to plant the seed, but then having the opportunity to water and to actually hold their hands and guide them through, that is the most rewarding thing. And when I started working with people who I know in real life that wanted to accomplish certain things that they saw that I was able to accomplish, whether it was writing, their books and getting it out there and being able to guide them through that process, and then not just leaving it there, but because I have the podcast, we have the grant funded podcast, we have these other elements, that we're able to bring exposure. They needed help with like marketing, and they needed help with some other components. And so I realized, wow, not only am I having an opportunity to impact people who I see on a weekly basis, or I know almost on a day to day basis because we're in community and we're serving together in the church and in the body, but also it's like I'm connecting them with a whole new world of people who maybe they weren't exposed to on a communal or local basis. And so that's what I found. I was helping to kind of bridge once again a gap between not only the younger and the older generation, but also the local, national, being that I'm already international. I'm from another nation like you are, right? And then just recognizing the power that we all have to inspire, to encourage, and to show people the way. And so that's what really struck me when I would listen and I would hear, and I didn't recognize that people saw me in a certain light because it was like, oh, you're doing this, like, oh my gosh, it's like all these things you're fearlessly doing. And you recognize it's because I had honestly the right voices, the right people. I was reading the right kind of books, watching the right kind of programs, and I was connecting with the right kind of people, right? That had that mindset in real life as well as online. And so that really made a difference. And I wanted to give people that same opportunity. And it's been something that has honestly not only lit me up and sparked something, but it's led to all the other things and the excitement of being able to allow people to have that light bulb go off that, hey, this is me. I am a content creator. I'm a fearless creator. I'm a Christian content creator. I'm all of these things. I'm a radiant pearl. And when you hear people saying the same things that you say about them, now they're saying it about themselves and they're saying it to others. It's like, we have this opportunity to start a movement, and without even trying, that is the kind of opportunity that we have as fearless creators.
That's awesome. It's very empowering, right? Like you can coach a group and then after that they will continue to spread all the things that they have learned to the other people. So I think this is a good time to actually bring in your signature program, the Fearless Creator Mastermind. So, it's all about fearlessly creating. So how, through this program, do you actually equip different content creators to be fearless, like you said?
Yes, Faith, one of the things that I recognized is the beautiful growth that happens when you truly have a mission and a vision in mind. And I recognize that with this particular mastermind, it really has been something that have just not only blown my mind, but it's really turned into something that I didn't even orchestrate from the beginning. It was a natural flow that came across just from showing up, consistently providing value, and recognizing that in all these different formats, you're pouring into other people's cups. And I would get the requests from others saying, can I work with you? Do you have a program? And so that's what led to the Fearless Creator Mastermind. So we have plan members and we have partners. And so we identify our participants as that because we realize that you're a part of a whole picture and movement that couldn't be what it is without each person playing their part. And each person, someone said it best in our group this past week, because we meet on a weekly basis. And I know not everyone is able to show up live week. So we have the recorded portion available in their membership and dashboard that we host all of our products as well as the trainings and templates. And so she said you have access to a wealth and a host of coaches and mentors and people who are pursuing fearlessly their calling in all of these different modalities and ways. We concentrate on really being able to build your presence as a fearless creator through your YouTube channel, through podcasting, and through how you publish. So, how you're producing, how you're publishing, and how you are really passionately getting your purpose and your message out there is going to allow people to find you, discover, and then connect with you and that beautiful vision and mission that you've been given. So, we're always doing that development that I believe is at the heart and the core of being able to get to that level of excellence where this not only is the sky the limit, but you're able to walk in that full abundance in all of the different ways. And the beauty of it that I'll say is that you may find that you're in a certain season where you can't put as much attention in growing in this one area, right? But as I mentioned earlier, you can spend time in going through what is relevant to you right now and then ask questions as you're going through the trainings, the different course access or templates, and you're needing that additional help, then you come in on that weekly opportunity to ask questions and then to feed off the ideas and create your content in a structured and sometimes just open environment.
Yeah. So I love what you said about showing up, about giving value, because I personally, it's a big thing to me that my business or whatever I do have to provide value to my target audience, right? Whether it's writing an email and people reading it or creating a course and people going through it. So I think, and sometimes, like you mentioned, you know, sometimes, I mean, most of the time, many times, life doesn't go the way we want it to be, right? Something happens, somebody falls sick in the family, or something happens, and then we have to stop what we're doing and then have to go and take care of the other important things in our lives before coming back to our content creation or to our online business. But I think, like what you mentioned, showing up when you can, when it's the right season for you, is so important. And I think even for, I know there are some there are quite a number of people in our audience who are actually young mothers, with young children, and they're actually trying to build a side hustle online, right? And sometimes it's not easy, because you're already struggling with the lack of sleep, and then you still have to write an email, for example, or you're actually a caregiver to a family member who's not well, and yet you still, same thing, you're already so busy, you're so tired, and yet you're showing up in your emails. And I think sometimes we only have to do that very little, but the fact that when we do that very little, just to show up, just to show up and connect with our audience, or share a bit more about ourselves, and that could be so empowering and so inspiring to the people whom we can connect with. So I love that you have this, you have this community where people can come and ask questions, and like you mentioned, feed off ideas, right? Because sometimes we have so many ideas, but not all our ideas might be good, and it's good to be able to bounce off, brainstorm with other people with similar passion, and then really grow from other people's experiences and learning from other people as well. So it sounds like a really beautiful community that you have. And I also want to hop into what you mentioned just now about podcasting and YouTubing. So I know that is something that you do. So how has podcasting and YouTubing done for your business? How has it grown your business? Could you share a bit more tips with us if, for somebody who wants to look into podcasting and YouTubing?
Yes, certainly. So I do talk a little bit more about this in the presentation as well that I have prepared, and recognizing that the statistics that are out there in terms of people who are now consuming content in that form, you don't want to miss out on that big demographic of people who are able to learn and to connect and to receive what you have to offer. And so, what I found, even before all the things were going on in the world, I was consuming, that was my main form of not only entertainment but of receiving information and knowledge. And we find that even as people commute and as they take the time to really be able to build their brand and their message, really getting to the core of that, the process of really creating an episode, just like you would a blog post, requires you to do research, requires you to maybe create an outline and really get clear on the message you're trying to convey, and then giving a call to action. So recognizing that it is going to require you to have certain things in place, certain what you would say, when you make the call to action, you want to have certain freebies or certain things to help them further. So all around, it's developing you as the host. And of course, that's just if you're creating the content as a solo episode, as someone that's providing the value on your own. But just like you're doing today, when you have people that you're interviewing and that you're bringing on to also provide value, you're making that connection that's invaluable. Like before we hit the record today, receiving just not only the energy, but just the information that happens behind the scenes, the connection that is going to allow partnerships and collaboration to really be almost cemented. It's possible when you have that podcast that you are building over time and that others are able to continually go back to. I like to think of podcasts, the YouTube channel, all the different forms of content being a touch point to you providing continuous value to get people from that place of, oh, this person is interesting, to, wow, this person knows a lot, or wow, this person has helped me greatly, even in my mindset, and making a shift because you're speaking into their ear, right? A lot of times people are listening in an earbud and it's so intimate. And so it's one of the most effective ways to build that like, no, trust factor. And when you ask about how it's really helped in my business, recognizing that I have surveys that I put out, and I love being able to get feedback from the audience. And so just being able to say, okay, you've decided to join the Facebook group. There's a question that says, how did you discover? How did you find? Oh, I'm listening to your podcast. Oh, I checked out one of your videos. When I found out, because we do a weekly live and mastermind that's open as well. And what we normally do is we talk about just even being able to have passive income, right? So with your channel, the YouTube, and the beauty of podcasting is that you can literally click the record button and create that content once, and then you can repurpose it in all of these ways, because right now this can be repurposed into a podcast episode by pulling the audio, but also the video component can go on the YouTube channel. And then there's the live aspect where you can have people ask questions, they can share it out. You have a community tab. Once you get to 500 subscribers, once you get to certain milestones, you have access to more opportunities. The actual platform pushes out your content. So it's amazing to see all the different ways that you're able to maximize and build not only yourself, but your reach. And that is invaluable. So when I had someone who purchased something all the way in London, and I asked them, I thought they discovered me through a summit, right? We love summits. Once you do it once, it's like you have to keep finding summits. They're awesome. But
Yeah.
I assumed it was from a summit, but then she said to me after, and she connected with me on Instagram because she had a question about another item that I was selling in addition to what she was purchasing. And since this was going to be an order going so far, she wanted to get as many products as she could. So she was asking me those questions. And I said, by the way, how did you find me? And she said, through one of your YouTube videos. And I was like, oh my word, this is showing you the power of you being able to have people find you and then connect with you on all the levels and in all the different layers that sometimes are required, so that people can go deeper and they can trust and become an integral part of what it is you've been called to do and to create.
Yeah, so that's so amazing. I think you have beautifully summed up how powerful podcasting and YouTubing can, not just add value, but really grow your businesses in a very tangible way. So that's really awesome, and I love that you have a community whom you're strongly encouraging and helping those people to move on to podcasting and YouTubing. So now, as you said, when we have an episode, we should have, the main message we have, which is today, the theme today is to fearlessly create, right? To understand what your call is for this season, because things can change, right? Things do change from season to season. But so what is the calling in this season for yourself, and how are you going to carry out the calling, and how are you going to put away the distractions and just focus on what you're meant to do in this particular season? And now the call to action. The call to action, we're going to have Stacy share a bit more about. Just now you mentioned the Fearless Creator Mastermind. Do you have any, exclusive promotion or discounts for our summit attendees?
Yes, certainly. I'm so excited to extend this opportunity to your amazing audience, Faith, that you have really been able to, in a masterful and excellent way, be able to bring all of these experts and all this information that truly I know is going to pay dividends. And so I wanted to make sure to honor and to give this
Thank you.
opportunity with a special code. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. And so the special code Biz Success, I'm going to make sure that they're able to utilize that at the link that has been provided. And I'll make it as easy as possible with our pretty link when you go to the fearlesscreator.com/biz success, so that they'll be able to see and get directly that particular offer that we're extending to, of course, those who participated in your summit.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity. Just one last piece of, one last question before we go. How, if you were to sum up everything, what is one quick, succinct piece of advice to encourage our summit attendees to be fearless? Just one, big take home away message that they can keep in mind for the rest of the day, or for the rest of the year, or for the rest of their lives.
Yes, yes. So I would just encourage you. One of the things that I mentioned very briefly was grant opportunities and investment opportunities. People are watching you. And if you are able to continually show up with the value, consistency, and confidence, fearlessly doing the thing that you know you've been called to do, despite everything else that would be a stumbling block or hindering you from showing up today, and you just push past that, it's going to be worth it in the end, what led to the grant is because the proposal did not just include words.